In this video, we're going to go over the installation and the software setup for using the Rotary tool inside of the Boss Laser LS1416. In order to get this tool inside of the laser, you're going to have to take your gantry and drop it down so you have enough space. So I'm going to start by turning on my laser, giving it a second to set. Then I'll turn to the keypad. I'm going to hit the menu or ZU button. And the first option here is the Z move, so I'll go ahead and hit enter. And then it's counterintuitive. You'd think the up and the down button would move that plate up and down, but it's actually the left right buttons that do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the left button, and at this point the gantry will start to lower. And it does have a limit switch that will stop it once it gets to the bottom. But that looks good enough, so I'm going to stop it right there. At this point I can go ahead and take the rotary tool and set it on top of the gantry. It has the motor on the right hand side, and I like to install it that way. So I'll just set this down on top of the gantry with the motor on the right hand side. Next, I need to get this tool attached using its 4-pin connector here. So for this next step, I'm going to go ahead and turn the laser off again. That'll allow me to grab the rail and pull it forward. And what I'm trying to do is to expose way back in this corner where the connection needs to take place. Now I could access this through the central area, but it seems to be a little bit easier if you open up your side access panel right here. And then you should see the connector pin here. I'll go ahead and loosen that. It's got a nut that's connecting it at the bottom. And I'll just spin that till it's loose. And give it a good pull until that frees itself. Going back from the inside, now I can take the connector pin from the rotary tool, feed it back through the side, and install it. Now on this pin, you'll notice that there is a groove along one edge. You can see on mine it's right here. And I'll have to match that up where the groove is back here. And it can be different on different lasers. So I know on mine that it's in the front, so I should be able to get that fed in through there. And once that's firmly connected, I'll go ahead and tighten it down with the nut. There we go. Should be good to go. And I'll go ahead and shut this access panel for safety. And just make sure that the cord is kind of out of the way. Let's go ahead and turn the laser back on. And as it tries to reset itself, it does move in the X direction back and forth, but we've disconnected the motor that would normally move it in the Y direction. And in place, the motor, the wheels on the motor are turning in the Y direction. Now these wheels will keep turning because they're thinking that this rail is going to come back and hit this orange limit switch. It won't, because we've disconnected the motor, so I'm going to manually push this back until it reaches the end, and then pull it forward, and now it knows that that's the end. And you can do this multiple times, push it back and forth, but eventually these wheels will stop spinning and this will move into position. And at that point, your hardware is set up and ready to go. The next thing we'll have to do is take care of the software side of this. So I'm going to move over to my computer that's hooked up to the laser, open up my RDWorks software, and I'm going to focus in on the side panel. And this is normally where we look to set up power levels and power layers. I'm going to move over on this tab to the Users tab. When I move down here at the bottom, I should have a button that says Open, Save, Read, and Write. Now I'll warn you that on some computers that have smaller resolution, these buttons here aren't visible until you grab the bottom and pull up to make them visible. So if you don't see these buttons, it's a resolution issue, and you can just grab the edge of the window and pull, and then you'll see those. So with my laser on and my software up, I'm going to hit the read button, and this will just verify that the software is communicating with the laser, and I should get a result of 100%, which means that they're communicating. I'm going to go ahead and load up the settings for the rotary cutter, so I'll hit the open button, and from the open button I'll get a navigation window. Here we've put all the settings for the laser on the desktop, so I'll navigate over to the desktop, and I'm looking for the folder that says Laser Setup. When I go inside there are three settings files that you can bring in. One is for flat, which is the 1416. One is for the chuck, which is the clamp for perfectly cylindrical objects. And then third one is for the roller tool, which is what we're after in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and hit open. Should get a message that says that the parameters were imported successfully. So now all of those settings have been brought in to the Users tab over here. But I need to get those sent over to the laser, so you'll hit the right button. And again, it will flash that 100% of those settings have been sent over to the laser, and your laser should be ready to go. There is one small modification that I like to make to the settings, and I'll do this by clicking on the other radio button and then going down until I hit this test area. And it looks like there's no value in there, but you'll want to double click on that and then take the speed down, and I like to go down to something like 5 millimeters per second. And what we're doing is we're slowing down the speed that your glass or your cup is going to spin when you're framing. And the reason you want to do that is because if it spins too quickly, it can actually fly off, and if you're dealing with a glass or a glass mug, that could be a safety hazard. So once I've made that change in here, I'm going to have to hit the right button again to send those new settings back over to the laser. We should be good to go. We've got the hardware installed, we've got the software set up. I do like to do one additional little step. And anytime I've sent new software over to the laser, I'll go ahead and turn it off and turn it back on, just to make sure that all those settings have booted back in again. So it's going to, again, it's trying to move this rail, but it can't, so I'll have to manually do that. And I'll push it back and pull it forward and push it back. And what I'm waiting for is for the head to move into position to say, and there it goes. And so now it's ready to go. At this point, I can download my files and install my cup, and I'm ready to go. And we'll do that in another video.